This is Katerin with VIVE Katerin. I'm here in Ridgewood, New Jersey at the Running Company. Today I will be speaking with Orthopedist Dr. Dan Geller. Not only is Dr. Geller a runner, but he's also an Ironman. Today we're going to learn more on how to prevent injuries when running. Let's go and check out his presentation.
We talk about injury causes. I thought this was a pretty interesting quote. It hurt to run, but it hurt more for her to stop. I mean, so how many of us have been running and you know there's an ache or a pain there, but we just sort of just muscle through it. So, yep, I know one of the running company guys has in the past. So, and most of us do. Yeah. I am now, myself, I have a IT band problem. So I'm notorious for running through things until I'm crippled and I just have to stop and, seek out some help. I'm a huge fan of physical therapy. I don't see any physical therapists here. Anybody has any experience with physical therapists? I mean, they're awesome. The plantar fascia. This here is essentially where we're going to get the plantar fascia. The plantar fascia is essentially the foundation of our foot. It helps us absorb the impact when we run or when we walk and help dissipate the ground reaction forces. So it's a pretty important ligament on the bottom of the foot. I'll see this a lot in people. We'll see it with people who pronate, people who supinate, and we'll see it for a multitude of reasons. One of the mainstays of treatment of this, of course, we talk about stretching, we talk about physical therapy. A big culprit here is tight heel cords. So very tight calf muscles are a culprit for a lot of different overuse injuries. Inflammation in the Achilles tendon is obviously common amongst runners and walkers and all people who are participating in different types of exercise. It's pain in the lower calf. It also becomes better during running, like a lot of the soft tissue injuries do, but then in the aftermath you're going to feel things tighten up just a little bit. And it's usually worse in the morning. Once again, we talk about stretching, these kinds of things, non-steroidal anti-inflammatories like Advil, Motrin, physical therapy, different types of shoes. And this is where the mechanics comes in. Is there something that's contributing once again? Is it overpronation? Is it overuse?
I'm here with Dr. Geller. How are you today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
So we talked about everything today. We talked about gout, we talked about some fasciitis, and we talked about some nerve conditions that you deal with. So tell us a little bit about what's the most popular injury that you're dealing with today.
So we did cover, A to Z as it pertains to overuse running injuries. So a lot of the stuff that we'll see in the office is really a lot of overuse types of stuff as it pertains to our bones, our soft tissue, our ligament structures. We'll see a lot of overuse of the plantar fascia. We'll see a lot of tendinitis, a lot of Achilles tendinitis. We'll see a lot of calf strain. We'll see a lot of bone bruising. We do see nerve injury. Nerve injury is the intermetatarsal nerves in the forefoot, which will cause everything from a numbness, tingling, burning feeling to a sharp shooting pain, which is not always very pleasant. We'll see nerve entrapments further up the foot as well as into the ankle. So there's no shortage of nerve injury or overuse injuries in the lower extremity.
So tell us a little bit about why you think that we're seeing these conditions more often today.
Interesting question. I think we're seeing a lot of these conditions. I think a lot more people are taken to the roads. I think there's a lot of runners out there. I think people are very healthy. I think they're concerned about their health and their well-being. They want to look their best. And I think running is a very easy thing to do. I think they're able to put their shoes on and run out the door. Unfortunately, what happens is with the relative ease of doing this, we can sometimes do it without as much guidance as some other types of activities. And I think as a consequence, people are getting themselves injured more.
So do you think it's better to be on the treadmill versus being out on the road? Or tell us a little bit about, which is better?
I don't necessarily think the treadmill is better, although I'm not against the treadmill. I like people going out and running on soft surfaces, such as a bridle path, or maybe through some like a trail system. I think running on pavement has its place. I think people have to develop the ability to absorb the impact. So I think that's important. So I think it's a healthy combination of all these things that could sort of really enable you to sort of be the best runner you can be.
For someone who really doesn't know about their biomechanics and they want to improve their running skills and techniques, what advice do you offer?
So most people don't know a lot about their biomechanics. They'll come in, they'll say, I don't know if I have flat feet. I don't know if I have high arch feet. That's where it's important to get up on a treadmill and let somebody look at what you're doing. Let somebody really evaluate what's happening, what your biomechanics are. So really just sort of understanding a little bit about what you're doing to make certain changes either in your stride, in your technique, or perhaps deciphering what shoe or what insert or what arch support or something along those lines might be beneficial for you.
We're in spring and we're going into summer and people are trying to get fit quicker. So how can we avoid or prevent injuries from happening in such a short period of time when you have a runner who's aggressive?
I think there's a few things that we can do. I think firstly, it's important to set goals. As it pertains to our running, as it pertains to our fitness. Are we training for a marathon? Are we training for a half marathon? Are we training for a 10K? I think it's very important to understand how to properly increase our mileage and attain that goal in sort of a very sort of safe and very healthy fashion. I think it's also important to cross-train. Cross-training trains our other muscles that sort of help us absorb impact, help us dissipate shock forces, and really help us become more fit and stronger. So I think we can offset some injury by simply being more active, cross-training, and really kind of going about our training plan a little bit smarter.
Now, you're also an Ironman.
I am, yes.
So tell us a little bit about what that consists of to get that title, and as well as what are some tips to start learning how to cross-train?
Well, the Ironman consists of a 2.4 mile swim, followed by a 112 mile bike, and then a 26 mile run. So it's quite the day. And really, at the end of the day, if you ask any Ironman, they'll tell you the race was actually the easiest part. It's all the training that goes into it. It's training when you're tired, putting the miles in when you don't want to, and really making sure you're doing it safely and you're doing it appropriately. Having a sound training plan is most important. That's essentially what I tell most of my athletes that I see. And of course, I've got to reiterate it to myself time and time again, because doing things correctly and allowing the body to work up to the threshold of achieving these longer distances, but really knowing when to rest, really knowing when to back off. A lot of, and I could ask most runners and most athletes, a lot of the recovery and a lot of the not the recovery, but more the gains we make is when we rest. So we want to go out there, we want to work hard, but we also want to rest hard. We want to really ensure that all the miles that we're accruing are essentially building us up and not wearing us down.
Tell us a little bit about the footwear, what you recommend as far as maybe someone who runs between 5 and 8, or perhaps someone who runs between 5 and 10 miles.
Right. That's where stores like the Running Company do come in. I think these guys, if you look around, you'll see they're not only very knowledgeable, but they are also runners themselves. So they really get an understanding of what shoes will best fit somebody based on their sport, based on their injury history, and based on really what their goals are. I think shoe gear plays a huge part in our biomechanics, understanding our body's own natural biomechanics and understanding our propensity toward injury and helping to offset that. The whole idea is to stay comfortable, to stay happy, to stay injury-free, and once again, continue to sort of achieve all the goals we put forth.
Share with our viewers 5 tips on how they can go from spring training into those summer marathons.
5 tips. So let's see. So outlining as it pertains to a goal, going from spring and going into, say, those summer marathons, summer half marathons, we want to do it smart. We want to increase our mileage at a comfortable rate, and there's a 10% rule where we try not to increase our mileage, more than 10% per week. We certainly want to, number 2, we certainly want to incorporate some rest in there. It's not all about doing as much running as possible, getting as many miles under our belt. It's also about sort of taking a step back, letting our bodies recover so we can go out there and keep doing what we need to do. I think nutrition, number 3, is very important. I think the way we treat our bodies is what we're going to get in return. So ensuring that there's a healthy diet there. There's there's a health triad there that's associated with most women athletes that we'll see, which is a disordered eating, an amenorrhea, and an osteoporosis. So we really try to avoid these things, and we try to teach people that there are proper ways to go about this and stay healthy. And I also think that having a coach sometimes works very nicely, having somebody to kind of worry about these things for you. So I always recommend people speak with a coach or train with a running group, so people that have experience. And of course, do it with friends and be happy and sort of achieve these things alongside,
Thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure meeting you. And please tell our viewers where they could find your information.
I am with Empire State Orthopedics, and we're in Manhattan at 245 East 84th Street.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.